Every single day, life offers you a choice. It doesn't always come loudly, dressed in flashing lights or blaring alarms. Sometimes it's a quiet voice inside your head, whispering justifications, tempting you away from your path. Two voices, always present. One, steady and unwavering, urges you to hold fast to your principles, reminding you of your destiny, your purpose, the values that make you who you are. The other, it's sly, insidious, whispering, "It's just a minor detour. No one has to know. Do it just this once." But what if that one moment, that single compromise, is the very thing that derails everything you've been working for? What if saying yes, just once, means losing a lifetime of effort? Compromise is not the harmless shortcut it promises to be. It's a silent, patient destroyer, waiting for the moment you let your guard down. And if you're not vigilant, it can cost you everything. Today, let these words serve as your wake-up call. This message could be the difference between building your legacy and watching it crumble. Let's start with understanding what compromise truly means. It's not about reaching healthy agreements with others or meeting halfway on harmless matters. No, the compromise that poses a real threat is the act of lowering your standards, abandoning your core values, or doing what you know deep down in your soul is wrong, just to gain some temporary advantage. Maybe it's money, a fleeting sense of comfort, a stamp of approval or validation from people whose opinions shouldn't even matter. It rarely starts with something big. It's a shortcut here, a white lie there. A corner cut when no one's watching. At first, it feels harmless, even strategic. But before long, you start to lose sight of who you are. You wake up one day to realize you're living someone else's life, trapped by choices that don't reflect your true self. The pain of regret creeps in. Compromise is never a shortcut to success. It's a direct flight to disaster, camouflaged as convenience. Let me share a story, one that echoes the reality far too many face. There was a young man, driven by ambition and fueled by dreams bigger than his circumstances. He came from a background where every dollar counted, every meal was earned through sweat and sacrifice. He washed cars, did odd jobs, skipped luxuries so he could save every penny. He kept his eyes on the prize, a better future, a legacy for his family, a life he could be proud of. But life is rarely linear. Bills stacked up, rent deadlines loomed, and the weight of responsibility pressed down harder with each passing day. He watched as others around him seemed to leap ahead. Friends, or so they called themselves, flaunted new clothes, drove shiny cars, always had cash to spare. Their words echoed in his ears. "Bro, you're wasting time. Come with us. Real money is here. One move and you're set. Why all this stress? Don't you want to help your family faster?" At first, he resisted. Something inside warned him. No details, just suspicion. He knew their lifestyle didn't add up, but hunger can roar louder than a quiet conscience. When the pressure becomes relentless, the mind starts rationalizing. Just once, he told himself, no one will know. That first step felt exhilarating. Money flowed in, his lifestyle transformed, and with it came a surge of confidence. But with the newfound comfort came a new risk, one he tried to ignore. Days turned into weeks, and soon he was in deeper than he ever intended. One night, without warning, everything crashed down. Police raided the apartment, the flashing lights, the shouts, the handcuffs, all a blur. It turned out what he thought was a harmless hustle was actually an international fraud ring. He was arrested alongside his friends, his pleas and explanations lost in the chaos. He tried to convince them. He didn't know. He was just trying to survive. But the law didn't care about ignorance. The sentence was swift and merciless, 15 years in prison. Years later, looking back, his tears weren't just for the time lost, but for the values he sold for temporary gain. He didn't regret getting caught. He regretted ever saying yes. He regretted the moment he let go of who he was, all for something that didn't last. His story is a warning. Compromise is never worth the price. Here's the truth many are too afraid to say out loud. Compromise doesn't just stain your hands, it leaves marks on your soul. When you compromise your core, you lose your integrity. That unbreakable core that once guided your decisions becomes shaky, uncertain. Your reputation takes a hit, sometimes in ways that can never be repaired. People talk, trust erodes, and doors that once stood open quietly close. Peace becomes a stranger. You find yourself lying awake at night, haunted by choices you can't take back, unable to rest because you know, deep within, that your hands aren't clean. Compromise also attracts the wrong people. When you bend your standards, you make yourself vulnerable to opportunists, people who don't care about your well-being, only what they can get from you. These aren't true friends. They're temporary allies, ready to disappear at the first sign of trouble. Worse, you end up shutting doors to real opportunities, the kind that require trust, reliability, and honor. Employers, partners, loved ones, they all look for people of integrity. When your reputation is tainted, those opportunities pass you by. But perhaps the most devastating consequence is the loss of confidence in your own voice. Once you've compromised, it's hard to stand tall again. How can you advise others, encourage them to choose the right path when you know you've chosen wrong? The guilt lingers, the shame festers, and self-doubt becomes your constant companion. People who take shortcuts may race ahead, but their journey is built on sand. When the storms come, they crash, hard and fast. True success, the kind that lasts, is built on a solid foundation. It takes longer, demands patience and discipline, but it's the only kind worth having. So how do you resist the pressure? How do you stand firm in a world that constantly tempts you to bend? First, define your values. You can't stand for something if you don't know what it is. Take time to reflect on what matters most to you. Honesty, loyalty, perseverance, faith. Write it down. Make it so clear that when the pressure comes, your core can't be shaken. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Second, be willing to wait. Delayed gratification is a superpower in a world obsessed with instant results. Remember, delay is not denial. The things worth having, trust, respect, legacy, take time to build. Don't trade your future for a fleeting moment of comfort. Third, change your environment. If you're constantly surrounded by people who encourage shortcuts, who laugh at your standards, it's only a matter of time before you give in. Not everyone is your friend. Some people are disguised as allies, but are actually saboteurs, quietly rooting for your downfall. Be ruthless about who you allow into your inner circle. Choose people who remind you of your values, who challenge you to stay disciplined, not those who cheer when you stumble. Fourth, seek accountability. We're not meant to walk this journey alone. Find mentors, friends, or family who will call you out when you start to drift. People who will remind you of who you are and who you want to become. Accountability isn't about judgment, it's about protection. Fifth, feed your soul with truth. In a world full of noise and lies, you need a steady diet of wisdom. Read books that challenge and inspire you. Listen to voices of integrity. Pray or meditate to keep your spirit strong. When your mind is filled with truth, it's harder for temptation to take root. Finally, visualize the consequences. Before you say yes to that compromise, play it out in your mind. If this came out tomorrow, how would it impact your life, your family, your future? Sometimes the fear of shame, the weight of regret, is enough to keep you grounded. Listen to me closely. You were not born to blend in with the crowd, to bow to every pressure, to sell yourself cheap for fleeting gains. You were born to stand out, to lead, to build something that outlasts you. Yes, it's the hard road. Yes, it's slower, lonelier, and sometimes more painful. But it's worth it. The world doesn't remember those who take shortcuts. It remembers those who stand for something, who build legacies that inspire generations. The future belongs to those who refuse to sell their birthright for a plate of momentary satisfaction. It belongs to those who endure, who persist, who keep their eyes on the horizon even when the road is rough and the nights are long. Let these words ring in your heart. If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Alexander Hamilton's words are as true now as they were centuries ago. Don't fall for the illusion that success built on compromise is real. It's a mirage, a shadow that fades the moment you reach for it. Success that comes with compromise is just failure in disguise. Remember, you don't need to cheat to win. Real victory is earned, not stolen. There's unmatched peace in knowing your conscience is clean, your hands untainted, your name unsullied. A clean conscience sleeps best, so keep pushing forward. When the world around you bends, stand straight. When the voices get louder, let your resolve get stronger. Wait when you must, work when you can, pray when you're unsure, and grow no matter the season. Your time will come, your moment will shine. And when it does, you'll look back with pride, knowing you didn't bend, break, or bow. Share this message with someone who needs it. Remind them and remind yourself, we don't just chase success, we build legacy. Keep believing, keep growing, keep pushing forward. The dangerous price of compromise is a debt you don't want to pay. Protect your destiny. Stand tall. Your future is too valuable to sell for anything less.